Why should other states be bailing out California for choosing the wrong people to run their state?
We shouldn't be. They got 40 million people in that state, and they voting these imbeciles in office.
Tommy Tuberville, one of the biggest imbeciles in all of Congress, maybe the biggest imbecile, calling other people imbeciles as he goes on a right-wing TV show and talks about how maybe California doesn't deserve to get any aid from the federal government. Other right-wingers are saying the same. This is absolutely disgusting. We're going to take a look at clips from a couple of different shows. I'm going to share my thoughts on this as well. Let's get into this together. The first clip that I'm going to play for you is from Adam Mockler's show.
You know, this is disgusting, and we need to talk about it because I'm sick of sitting by and watching Republicans erode every single norm there is at the cost of American citizens while we're stuck playing on their turf. We're stuck debunking their narratives when the facts are on our side. We have the forward-looking vision, yet they are dragging us down with them, going lower and lower and lower. And what happened today perfectly captures the reality of the game we're playing because House Speaker Mike Johnson and other Republicans said they are considering tying wildfire aid for California to a debt ceiling increase. Think about that. That means they are using disaster relief as a bargaining chip. It's not bipartisanship. This is not how politics are supposed to function in the US. And Democrats need to have a little bit of a punch. I'll explain the strategy we should take later. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. And of course, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm just trying to criticize the party after taking a loss to maybe the easiest candidate to beat ever. Let's start off with Jessica Tarlov, just shredding into Republicans on Fox News.
And then you hear Speaker Johnson, who was just walking through the Capitol and it was being interviewed, talking about aid and disaster relief. And he said that he thinks it should be conditioned on California changing their ways. If Joe Biden, who, by the way, has signed every major disaster declaration right away, given everyone the capacity aid that they are asking for, he even actually wanted to put more money into the FEMA budget, and the Republicans took it down several $billion. If he had said, you know what, Louisiana, I'm not so into your politics. You should do things differently. Or Georgia, or any other conservative state, or Florida. I mean, he has been so bipartisan in this. It is not the moment to say that this is going to be attached to something conditional about you doing this the way that I think you should do.
Okay, let me get to Jesse.
Actually, incredibly disgusting. And we talk about double standards on this channel a lot, how there's a double standard between the way Republicans and Democrats can function. For example, today Marjorie Taylor Greene was making up conspiracy theories about politicians being able to control the weather and then stop these wildfires. There is not a single Democrat on the other side of the aisle that says anything that conspiratorial or crazy, yet the average American thinks that the Democrats have lost their minds. So that is a messaging failure, and it's also a failure to hold Republicans accountable, which has created this double standard. But what I'm trying to say is these double standards are now actively hurting American citizens. We can see in real time over the span of 1 week how the double standards between Republicans and Democrats go downstream and hurt everyday citizens. Because just to back up, we all know that California is facing devastating wildfires. People are losing their homes, their livelihoods, their pets, everything they once knew. And instead of acting swiftly to provide relief, Republicans are now playing games. After Biden visited Florida during a hurricane, he didn't play a game. He didn't call Ron DeSantis any nicknames, but Trump is calling Gavin Newsom Governor New Scum, whatever the hell he's saying. It's a double standard that's not acceptable, especially when the games turn into playing with people's livelihoods, playing with people's ability to rebuild their life after a disaster. This is not just tone deaf. It's not just politics. It's not even a game. It's immoral. It is incredibly, incredibly immoral. Let's read this article. Johnson confirms discussions on tying wildfire aid to debt limit. Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters one option on the table is making a new tranche of disaster relief funding for the California wildfires conditional on agreeing to raise the debt ceiling. And you know this is more of a Trumpian idea because he's been trying very, very hard to raise the debt ceiling, even eliminate it. But let's read. House Speaker Mike Johnson confirmed to reporters Monday there's, quote, been some discussion of tying California wildfire aid to a debt limit increase after GOP members raised the issue with Donald Trump in several meetings at the president-elect's Florida resort this weekend. Do these people not know that there are Republicans in California, too? There are a lot of Republicans, not only inside the cities, but mainly outside the cities, a lot of red areas. The notion that Congress can make the release of disaster relief dollars conditional upon also agreeing to raise the debt ceiling is already facing pushback from some Democrats. But many California Republicans, including Representative Doug LaMalfa, said in a brief interview Monday they may have no choice but to pursue that option given the potential urgency around addressing the LA fires, paired with the reality that the nation could default on its borrowing authority in a matter of months. They are trying to turn a disaster into a negotiation tactic. They are trying to turn it into leverage, and this is incredibly disgusting. Because again, we are playing on their turf, and Republicans keep going lower and lower and lower, and I'm not saying Democrats should go storm the Capitol and turn into conspiracy theorists or whatever, but we have to at least punch back. We can't have a Democratic Party with no punch. I'll talk about that later, but a really good example of what I'm talking about. We could talk about the birtherism in 2010, 2011. We could talk about Newt Gingrich being Speaker of the House, but a really solid recent example is when Obama was trying to nominate Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court, and Mitch McConnell refused to hold confirmation hearings. He said, no, you can't do this during an election year. We have to let the American people speak. But then, after Trump had lost the election and Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, they appointed Amy Coney Barrett with no problem after an election, after the American people had spoken. It is absolutely disgusting. And it's a prime example of Republicans just eroding our norms, eroding our institutions for their own benefit. And I think that perfectly relates to what's going on here, what Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said. I'll try to turn up the volume for you guys.
Are you open to providing aid to California without any conditions?
He's asked, are you okay with providing aid to California without any conditions?
I think we've got to have a serious conversation about that. Obviously, there's been water resource mismanagement, forest management mistakes, all sorts of problems. And it does come down to leadership, and it appears to us that state and local leaders were derelict in their duty in many respects. So that's something that has to be factored in. I think there should probably be conditions on that aid. That's my personal view. We'll see what the consensus is. I haven't had a chance to socialize that with any of the members over the weekend because we've all been very busy, but it'll be part of the discussion for sure.
What about the debt limit increase? What about tying the debt limit increase to it?
There's some discussion about that, but we'll see where it goes.
So we have Mike Johnson here, who loves to talk about what a great Christian he is and how he loves Jesus and all of that. And here he is wanting to possibly deny aid to people who are losing their homes, losing everything that they have. In some cases, people are losing their lives. Their pets are dying. And this vile scumbag wants to place conditions on that and not just say, hey, maybe we need to look after we've given. Of course, we're going to give the aid money. And then maybe afterwards, let's have a conversation about maybe some changes that we can put in place in California to maybe prevent this from happening down the road. That would be a reasonable conversation to have. But you say, but all of that comes later after we've given the aid. Right now, our concern is to make sure that people are as safe as they can possibly be, that we can do everything that we can to get people back into their homes if their homes are habitable, or help to get them money so that they can get into new homes. But no, this scumbag, Mike Johnson, wants to place conditions on this and even tie the debt ceiling to this that has nothing at all to do with what's going on in California. But he's a quote-unquote good Christian. What a piece of garbage this guy is. But this is MAGA. This is all of MAGA. I didn't go back and delve into this deeply, but I don't recall a time in my lifetime when we had presidents in an entire political party, prior to Trump and MAGA. Since Trump came on the scene, this is just standard operating procedure for them. But prior to Trump, Democrat or Republican, that we had presidents and administrations and the entire parties playing these kind of games with people's lives. Mike Johnson, this guy is a just vile, disgusting person. I don't know any other way to look at it or to say it. But if you want to see another vile, disgusting person, I'm going to show you a clip of Tommy Tuberville.
And they continue.
Why should other states be bailing out California for choosing the wrong people to run their state?
We shouldn't be. They got 40 million people in that state, and they voting these imbeciles in office, and they continue to do it. And it's just a very small part of them in that state that's doing it. If you go to California, you run into a lot of Republicans, a lot of good people, and I hate it for them. But they are just overwhelmed by these inner city woke policies with the people that vote for them,
Inner city. What's that code word for that Tommy Tuberville is trying to imply here?
I don't mind sending them some money, but unless they show that they're going to change their ways and get back to building dams and storing water, doing the maintenance with the brush and the trees and everything that everybody else does in the country, and they refuse to do it, they don't deserve anything, to be honest with you, unless they show us they're going to make some changes, Chris.
And this person on Twitter here, Luanon, commented, "What a deplorable human being, not to mention Tuberville is the senator from Alabama, which basically could not exist if it weren't subsidized by California's booming Democrat-run economy." And that's what these scumbags like Tommy Tuberville are never going to say. These large blue states like California pay much more into the federal government than a lot of the red southern states, who are essentially collecting welfare from California and New York and some other large states. But that should all be beside the point. Anywhere in the country where a natural disaster like this takes place, there should be no conversation like this. It should be, what can we do to help with our tax dollars? I keep using the word vile over and over again. This Luanon person said deplorable. Maybe that's a better word. But these people, these MAGA Republicans, and it's just MAGA Republicans, it's all the same thing now. But these people like Tommy Tuberville and Mike Johnson are absolutely disgusting, as Adam Mockler pointed out in the video that I showed you. And I'm saying myself, disgusting, vile people. They should all be voted out of office. Unfortunately, it won't happen. This is where we are in the country. There are people that think this is perfectly acceptable to withhold funding from people who are losing their homes, losing everything they have, in some cases losing their lives, and they want to play these kind of political games. It's obscene. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. This is Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.